Hello and welcome. So, I have a question for you. If somebody asked you, how's your life going? What would your answer be? You might have a general answer for them, but sometimes I find that it can be challenging because in some areas it feels really good, in other areas not so good. So, it's to that end that we have a resource that we wanted to share with you, and it's called the Wheel of Life exercise. And you may have seen different versions of this before, but we wanted to offer it to you as well so that you can really start to get some clarity of, how is my life going and what are the areas that I want to focus on. So it's a pretty simple exercise and you can go ahead and download a PDF, but let me just tell you a few details about it to begin with. So the Wheel of Life is pretty simple, that it's actually a circle, a wheel, looks like a pie, and it has just 8 different categories. Everything from health, wealth, intimate relationships, relationships with friends, finances. So there are different categories. And what you would do is in each level, each pie square, you just color in from the center out your level of satisfaction in that area of the pie. And what I always say to people is don't put too much thought into it because there's no right or wrong answer. Go with your gut and just color it in. Just go, make your way around the circle and then you're done. And what's nice about that is when you step back and look at it, it gives you a visual representation of how things are going. And for some people that's really helpful because when we're in our head, we can vacillate back and forth between things. But when we see it on paper, all of a sudden, you really start to see patterns that will appear. You'll see some areas of the pie that are much smaller than you might have thought, and other areas that are much larger than you thought. And so that's a really great basis to say, what are the areas in my life that are the lowest that I may be wanting to focus on? It gives you that specificity so that you can focus on 2, maybe 3 at the most areas where you want to then put goals around. What I find is when we say we want to transform our life completely, that leads to overwhelm, and typically it leads to inaction. So once you do this exercise, you can really get clear on the areas that are, the areas that you need to focus on. Many people find surprises, sometimes areas that are higher than they thought and lower than they thought, and correlations between them as well. Like, is an area like work really high because you're doing really well in it, but when you think about it, is there a correlation between that and then friends and family relationships that's maybe scoring lower? And that could be something as simple as you're focusing on your time, effort, and energy on work and not on, on your relationships. Another thing to look at is if this was a wheel, because it looks like a pie, how would it roll? Are there areas that are really high and areas that are really low? Is there balance in your life? And so I invite you to go ahead and download the PDF and just do the quick exercise. It takes no more than 5 minutes and see where you are in your life, and does that help to bring you some clarity and insights into what you would want to work on. As a matter of fact, I do this exercise quarterly because life is dynamic and it changes. And so you kind of get a good pulse point as to where you are in different areas at different times in your life. So go ahead, do the download, take some time to look at the assessment, and if you have any questions, definitely feel free to visit my website at matthewcarpinello.com and go to the comments and send me a quick email, and I'd be more than happy to talk you through it or answer any questions that you may have. And until we talk again, sending you peace, love, and light. Take care.